On January 20th, 2025, the United States embarked on an unprecedented review of its foreign aid programs. This decision, enacted through an executive order by President Trump, placed a temporary hold on USAID initiatives worldwide. The stated goal was to ensure alignment with U.S. interests. However, the suspension's ramifications have been immediate and far-reaching. Countries like Uzbekistan and the Central Asian region are grappling with the sudden halt of vital programs. The suspension has plunged numerous NGOs and their beneficiaries into uncertainty. Essential services face disruption. The situation raises critical questions about the U.S. role as a global leader and its commitment to humanitarian aid and development. The suspension is not merely a budgetary measure. It represents a philosophical shift with potentially lasting consequences. As the world watches, the outcome of this review will have profound implications for countless lives and the future of U.S. engagement on the global stage. Uzbekistan, a nation striving for democratic reforms and improved living standards, finds itself acutely affected by the USAID suspension. The country's nascent civil society, already grappling with limited resources and support, now faces an even more precarious future. Organizations reliant on USAID funding are struggling to maintain operations. One example is the TB-Free program, launched in 2023 with an $18 to $20 million budget. This initiative aimed to combat tuberculosis in Uzbekistan, a country with a high burden of the disease. The program's suspension jeopardizes progress made in TB control and puts vulnerable populations at risk. Beyond specific programs, the suspension casts a shadow over U.S.-Uzbek relations. It undermines the U.S. commitment to supporting democratic development in the region. This situation creates an opening for other actors, potentially with different agendas, to fill the void. The impact of the USAID suspension extends far beyond Uzbekistan's borders. Neighboring Afghanistan, heavily reliant on U.S. aid, faces dire consequences. The suspension has forced the closure of a critical midwifery program, the only avenue for higher education for girls in the country. This closure will have devastating consequences for maternal and child health, impacting an estimated 9 million people. In Bangladesh, the suspension has resulted in mass layoffs at a USAID-funded health research center. The Asian University for Women, a beacon of hope for female students in the region, is now scrambling to secure funding for its Afghan students. These examples highlight the interconnectedness of aid programs and the ripple effect of the suspension across borders. The situation in Ukraine further underscores the global reach of the USAID suspension. Programs addressing tuberculosis, HIV, and supporting independent media are now in jeopardy. This development raises concerns about a resurgence of these epidemics and the potential for increased Russian propaganda in the region. The USAID suspension has ignited a fierce debate about the U.S. role in the world. Proponents of the review, including acting USAID head Marco Rubio, argue that it is essential to ensure aid effectiveness and alignment with U.S. interests. They point to alleged instances of wasteful spending, such as diversity initiatives in Serbia and a transgender opera in Colombia. However, critics argue that these examples are outliers, and that USAID plays a vital role in saving lives, promoting democracy, and advancing U.S. soft power. They emphasize the harm caused by the abrupt halt of programs, leaving vulnerable communities in the lurch. The suspension has raised concerns about the politicization of aid and the potential for long-term damage to U.S. credibility on the world stage. As the U.S. grapples with these complex questions, the world is watching closely. The outcome of this review will have lasting consequences for millions of people who rely on U.S. assistance. It will also shape the perception of the U.S. as a global leader and its commitment to a more just and equitable world.